Terminating the Department of Homeland Security. Chris Edwards. Print November 2014. Congress created the Department of Homeland Security (DHS) in 2002 by combining 22 existing federal agencies responsible for a vast array of activities. President George W. Bush promised that the new department would improve efficiency without growing government and would cut out duplicative and redundant activities that drain critical homeland security resources. 1. The lean and efficient DHS that the president promised did not materialize. The department's spending increased from $18 billion in 2002 to $43 billion in 2014.2. Its workforce expanded from 157,000 employees in 2003 to 190,000 by 2014.3. And far from being efficient, DHS agencies are some of the most poorly managed in the federal government. DHS agencies include the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Customs and Border Protection, Transportation Security Administration, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Citizenship and Immigration Services, Coast Guard, and Secret Service. 4. This essay describes some of the failures of DHS and its agencies and proposes that Congress close down the department. DHS agencies that perform important work should be moved to other federal departments or structured as standalone organizations reporting directly to the President. Other DHS agencies, including the Federal Emergency Management Agency (FEMA) and the Transportation Security Administration (TSA), should be terminated because their activities would be better carried out by state governments and the private sector. General mismanagement. The creation of DHS was a mistake. Since the beginning, the department has suffered from management failures and been on the high-risk list of troubled federal organizations put out by the Government Accountability Office. Employee surveys find that DHS is the worst department to work for in the federal government. 5. The results from a 2014 survey of 40,000 DHS employees are grim. 6. Only 42% of DHS employees say they are satisfied with the department, only 25% have a positive view of their leaders' ability to generate high levels of motivation and commitment in the workforce, and only 39% say department leaders maintain high standards of honesty and integrity. A 2014 Washington Post investigation found that many DHS employees say they have a dysfunctional work environment with abysmal morale. 7. Not surprisingly, DHS has a very high employee turnover rate. 8. Current and former DHS officials told The Post that the department can be an infuriating, exhausting place to work with stifling bureaucracy. 9. One of the exhausting factors is that DHS leaders have to devote extraordinary amounts of time dealing with the complex tangle of 90 congressional committees and subcommittees that oversee the department. 10. Congress is partly to blame for DHS's failings, having created such an inefficient oversight structure. One might have hoped that putting a layer of expert DHS officials over top of the 22 agencies would help improve governance, but it has not. Consider FEMA, which had been a standalone agency before 2002. It had already been known for sluggish responses to disasters, but FEMA's performance during Hurricane Katrina in 2005 was worse than ever. Or consider the Secret Service, which has had a series of management failures in recent years, despite being overseen by DHS. The service has spent huge amounts on security during foreign presidential trips. Yet trips have been undermined by scandals related to prostitution and drunken agents. 11. At home, the service had a series of embarrassing security failures leading up to the remarkable White House intruder incident of September 2014. 12. TSA has long struggled with poor management. In 2012, a House committee report found that the agency's operations are costly, counterintuitive, and poorly executed. 13. A separate House report the same year said that the agency suffers from bureaucratic morass and mismanagement. 14. Former TSA Chief Kip Hawley argued in an op-ed that the agency is hopelessly bureaucratic. 15 and former acting TSA Chief Kenneth Casperin said that the agency has a toxic culture with terrible morale. 16. Employee misconduct is a problem in numerous DHS agencies, including the TSA. 171 concern at TSA is employee theft from passenger baggage. 18 Meanwhile, Customs and Border Protection (CBP) appears to have a growing problem with agent corruption related to drug and human smuggling. 19 Also, according to a Washington Post editorial on CBP, there has been an alarming number of incidents involving the use of lethal force. All too frequently under circumstances that suggest the agency is indifferent or hostile to the most basic standards of restraint, transparency, and self-policing. 20. Many organizations have occasional management problems. But DHS leaders allow problems within agencies to fester for years, promising to make changes only after major scandals erupt. In the wake of the recent White House intruder incident, the head of the Secret Service resigned. But the head of DHS did not resign and said very little about it, presumably to evade responsibility. If DHS does not proactively correct agency problems, and DHS leaders do not take responsibility for failures, then the DHS superstructure provides little management value. Poor decision-making. Federal departments frequently make wasteful spending decisions, and DHS and its agencies are no exception. In one recent case, CBP built 21 small homes for border agents in Ohio, Arizona, at a cost of $680,000 each, in a town where the average home price is just $86,500. A 2014 DHS Inspector General review of the project concluded, "This is a classic example of inadequate planning and management leading to wasteful spending." 21. This was a small project, but these sorts of problems plague major DHS projects as well. In their 2011 book, Terror, Security, and Money, Homeland Security experts John Mueller and Mark Stewart discuss how DHS often fails to rigorously evaluate projects to see whether the benefits outweigh the costs. 22 A 2010 National Academy of Sciences (NAS) report made similar criticisms, as have GAO reports on numerous DHS projects. 23. Without a rigorous process to steer spending to high-value uses, DHS has funded many boondoggle projects, including radiation detectors. DHS spent $230 million over 5 years on radiation detectors for cargo containers before withdrawing the project as a failure in 2011.24 The GAO and NAS were highly critical of DHS's handling of the project. 25. Full-body scanners. TSA spent hundreds of millions of dollars installing and operating Rapiscan scanners at U.S. airports, but research found that they were easy for terrorists to foil. 26 The machines were withdrawn in 2013, but a different type of body scanner is now widely used. Mueller and Stewart found that such scanners fail a cost-benefit analysis quite comprehensively. 27 As for the TSA, it did not perform a cost-benefit analysis of full-body scanners before rolling them out nationwide. 28. SPOT program. TSA spends about $230 million a year on the screening of passengers by observation techniques (SPOT) program, which tries to catch terrorists by their suspicious behaviors in airports. 29 GAO found that TSA deployed SPOT nationwide before first determining whether there was a scientifically valid basis for it. 30 TSA also did not perform a cost-benefit analysis of SPOT. 31 GAO says that there is little, if any, evidence that SPOT works, and has recommended that the program be cancelled. 32. High-tech border control. CBP spent $1 billion on the SPINIT virtual fence project for a 53-mile portion of the Arizona-Mexico border. The project, which involved video cameras, radar, sensors, and other technologies, was begun in 2006 and cancelled in 2011 as a failure. 33 Another high-tech system for the Arizona border is now moving ahead, but its effectiveness is yet to be proven. 34. The concern is not that DHS makes unavoidable mistakes, but that it puts too little effort into researching how best to allocate spending to improve safety. In their book, Mueller and Stewart make an assessment of the costs and benefits of Homeland Security spending since 2001. They conclude that increases in American Homeland Security expenditures have been wildly inefficient. 35 DHS has been too willing to throw money at any idea that might conceivably prevent a worst-case scenario, instead of balancing the benefits and costs of projects based on hard data. Policymakers eventually cancel some boondoggles after years of failure, but agencies should be performing rigorous analyses on projects upfront before they spend hundreds of millions of dollars. Civil Liberties Concerns and Mission Creep. DHS is a powerful department that conducts a wide range of intelligence, investigative, and law enforcement activities. But the DHS mission is not entirely clear, says the Washington Post, and indeed it has grown broader and more amorphous over time. 36 DHS has expanded into law enforcement activities that are properly the role of the states, and also into areas that should be free of government encroachment altogether. Put another way, mission creep is a serious problem at the DHS, creating an ongoing threat to our civil liberties. Here are examples illustrating the expansive and intrusive activities of DHS and its agencies. CBP pursues warrantless searches of general aviation aircraft, and the TSA engages in warrantless searches of valet-parked cars at airports. 37. TSA is aggressively conducting searches at rail stations, transit stations, and other public venues across the country, resulting in arrests for minor offenses such as drug possession. 38. TSA is teaming with state governments to put checkpoints on highways to perform searches of trucks for drugs and other items. 39. DH